Hey, welcome back to Casper Chess Clips. Before I show you 5 high-level traps in the King's Pawn game, allow me to reintroduce this channel. Most of my viewers on my main channel, Casper Chess, are more interested to watch long-form videos. And this is where this second channel comes in, where I post funny clips from my main channel and other interesting short-form videos of chess traps that I can't post on my main channel. So be sure to subscribe to this channel as well. Opening trap number 1. You start with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight c6, bishop c4, the Italian, then bishop c5, the Gyoko piano, and then you go pawn to d3. Just some simple stuff for you guys, because this move forces black to castle short early, which is what we want in this opening. And that's why knight to f6 is the top played move in the Lichess database, because, you know, black just wants to castle short early. But spoiler alert, we are not thinking of castling short early. In other words, castle short is not part of our plans. You want to start making your plans right in the opening stage when the game starts. Anyway, after black plays knight to f6, I highly recommend that you go knight g5, putting more pressure on the f7 pawn, which is only defended by the king. And this is why you will see everybody castling short, because I mean, that's the only way they can defend that pawn, which is why I like this line so much, you guys. And now this is when you play pawn to c3, taking the game back into the gioco pianissimo normal variation. And what else does black play? You can see in the Lichess database, look at this. Pawn to h6 is the top played move, because black doesn't like your knight, which is sitting in his territory. So pawn to h6 is what you're going to see them playing. And whenever you see this, don't play what other people play in the Lichess database, knight to f3. Just simply play pawn to h4, guys. If your human opponent foolishly takes on g5, thinking they just won a free piece, well, you can just take back, and this may soon lead to mate if black goes knight h7, the top played move, after which you can just play queen h5. And there's something like a mate in 4, which black cannot stop with his ankle bone, so there's nothing that black can do in this position. I leave that up to you guys. Find a mate in 4 in this position and leave your answers in the comment section down below. I'll check them out and mark them later. Let's look at another line. What if black doesn't foolishly take your knight on g5 and instead they play something like pawn to d6, the top played move? Well, when I notice that my opponent is not taking my knight, well, I want to give them a second chance to think about this, okay? So what I do here is just to go pawn to f3, again inviting black to take my knight on g5, which is the top played move you can see in the Lichess database, because this time it looks like I blocked the vision of my queen, so it can't sit on h5. Watch, they all play h takes g5 because they think I don't have this. Nevertheless, I just go ahead and take back on g5. They go knight h7, but this is when I reveal my plan after pawn to f4, because anyways, I just renewed my queen h5 possibility, and there's nothing that black can do about it. For example, if they go pawn to g6, stopping queen h5, well, I have pawn to f5, just, you know, putting more pressure on the king side since black has already castled short. So the top played move in this position, I mean, after you play pawn to f5, is knight takes g5, at least taking one pawn. But in this position, there are so many things that we can do. For example, taking on g6 is okay, since black cannot take back our g pawn as their f pawn is pinned. The better move in this position, guys, is queen g4 instead of taking immediately. Well, the idea is very simple. Go queen h4 and mate on h8. If they play knight h7, which they do, by the way, I want you to find a checkmate in 2 before I show you in a second. So pause this video and try to find the best move in this position. This is for beginners, by the way. This is the only way you can improve your tactical vision instead of just watching. The time starts now. Alright, I think you found this move, queen takes g6 check. Hey, see that the f7 pawn is still pinned by our light squared bishop, so our queen cannot be taken, and the only move that black can play is king h8, after which you now play queen takes h7, or even better, rook takes h7 checkmate. Opening trap number 2. This is where you begin with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight c6, Bishop c4, the Italian. This is what I want to simplify for you guys, teaching you every important stuff that you need to master in this opening. So I just turned on the Lichess database so that I can only be showing you the top played moves. You can see Bishop c5 is what everybody plays, which introduces the Gyoko piano, and here we have an option to play pawn to d3, highly recommended for beginners and intermediate level players. So far we haven't developed any of our queenside pieces. We just decided to close the pawn structure on the center, and that's the only thing you need to know. Right, one major secret that I want you guys to always keep in mind when playing my Italian recommendation: do not think of castling short anytime soon. So after pawn to d3, knight to f6 is the top played move you can see, and since you haven't already castled short, this is the special case where I recommend to play bishop g5 immediately. Spoiler alert, we want to trade our dark squared bishop. Period. For example, pawn to h6 is by far the top played move. Bishop takes to keep it so simple. Kiss. Queen takes f6 is the top played move, and now you develop knight c3. So you can see what we are doing. We finished our kingside development first, and now we want to complete our queenside development next. So after knight c3, pawn to d6 is by far the top played move, and now we can see the idea of playing knight c3 on the previous move to plant our queen's knight on d5, attacking the queen and the c7 pawn. The top played move is queen d8, and now here is the key move, ladies and gentlemen. It is not castle short or queen d2 or queen e2. The key move in the Italian game is pawn to c3, especially at this stage. This one move, ladies and gentlemen, makes you win the game right here. And it's hard to believe. You can see the top played move is bishop e6, which is a losing mistake, and most of your opponents won't know because they are not my subscribers. And so once you see bishop e6, just know you have won the game. Here is where most white players tend to throw away their advantage so early in the opening stage. They play pawn to b4, which is an inaccuracy. The key move here is d4, you guys, attacking the bishop and the pawn. If e takes d4, the top played move, you simply take back with your c-pawn. I know you were afraid of bishop b4 check, but that's losing due to knight takes b4. And again, if knight takes b4, which is what they do, you're going to win a piece after queen a4 check, Kaspar's signature move. If black thinks he can save the knight while blocking the check, you have pawn to d5, and black will surely lose a free piece right here. I mean, even if black decides to take our light squared bishop instead of taking the knight like this, well, you have knight takes c6, and after bc, the move is not queen a4. Use your mind. So the key move to remember right in this position is queen c2, which sets up a nasty trap that most of your intermediate level players are going to fall for. For example, if bishop b5, that bishop is dead because of pawn to a4, and after bishop a6, you have queen takes c6 check, and you win that bishop for free, and you'll be up a piece. Instead of bishop b5, if black plays pawn to d5, well, once again you just continue chasing that light squared bishop until you take on c6 and win it on the next move. So clearly bishop b5 and pawn to d5 doesn't work in this position. If black tries to play bishop e6, you can just go ahead and take the free pawn on c6 with check, and let's say bishop d7, you just go queen c3, let them castle short. Now that black has castled short, this is when you can decide where you want to castle, either queenside or kingside. I like going short in this position just to avoid complications. If rook e8, let your rooks be behind your advanced pawns, and from here Stockfish thinks you have a clear winning advantage. So remember where it all started from. It was after you played pawn to c3, the key Italian opening move, where black blunders immediately with bishop e6. And once again I said pawn to b4 is an inaccuracy. You need to go pawn to d4. So we just saw how bad e takes d4 is, because in most lines black will just end up losing a free piece. We looked at all this. So what if black doesn't take with his e-pawn, but let's say they just choose to save their dark squared bishop? Well, this is the biggest blunder of all time. Now you have knight takes b6, instantly winning a free piece. If you think bishop takes c4 saves the game, well, we can just take that bishop back, and now we are up a full knight. So this is clearly winning for white once again. I mean, even if black doesn't take with a bishop, and let's say they take your knight, well, still black is going to lose a free piece once again. After pawn to d5, double attacking the knight and the bishop. If they play knight a5 counter attacking your bishop, you can save your light squared bishop, because once again black is losing a free piece in this position. Even if they try to save their light squared bishop, well, you can just go pawn to b4 and black's knight is trapped. Opening trap number 3. So you go pawn to e4, then e5, knight f3, knight c6, defending the pawn, all normal moves. Bishop c4, the Italian game. Then black responds with bishop c5, which is called the Giuoco Piano, the quiet game or the silent game. So instead of playing pawn to d3, I recommend you go pawn to c3, which is more standard, simply controlling the d4 and the c4 square, very important. Here you will see black playing knight to f6, which is the top played move. So simply play pawn to d3, defending this pawn. This is officially known as the Giuoco Pianissimo, a very silent game or a very quiet game. Pawn to d6 is by far the top played move in this position, paving way for the light squared bishop. That's what black has done. So here I just recommend you go bishop b3. This is a prophylactic move, and another reason why we play bishop b3 is to give black one more chance of rushing with the move bishop b4, which is the top played move in the Lichess database. Whenever you see this, it is time for you to start your kingside pawn storm with pawn to h3. They'll go bishop h5, still maintaining the pin on the knight to our queen. Now wait a second, you don't have to be greedy with pawn to g4 right here. Why? You don't want to reveal your plans of not wanting to castle short by rushing to play pawn to g4 yet. At least wait for black to castle short. So that's why in this position we play knight bd2, another quiet move. The idea is just to plant our knight on g3 someday, so they will castle short, and that's what I'm talking about. Another benefit of not casting short early, because we always have an option to start our kingside pawn storm as early as we can, but queen e2 here makes more sense to hold on to our e4 pawn just in case of pawn to d5. And here, pawn to a5 and pawn to a6 are the top played moves in the Lichess database. For example, pawn to a6. Now you can start shifting all your pieces to the king side for an early attack. See that we are only doing all these things because we haven't castled short early. Pawn to h6, we go g4. Bishop g6, we go knight g3. You can already see how our attack is coming. We simply want to play g5 here. Put our king's rook on g1 to start controlling the g file. Let's say knight e7 for some reason. Well, you can go knight h4. One of your knights has to sit on this juicy f5 square. If knight h7, black doesn't just have many sensible moves here. You go knight hf5. If bishop takes, even though knight takes f5 is very much possible, just play g takes f5, opening up the g file for our king's rook, and I'm sure you can now see the whole idea of not castling short early. If knight f6, rook g1, king h8 for some reason, maybe trying to run away from this pin which I have highlighted, you just go knight h5, just go for it, baby. You can already see how bad things are for black and how we are playing this game with our king on the center. We always have plans to castle long. At worst, bishop takes g8. You can already see how bad things are for black. Opening trap number 4. This is where you begin with e4, then black responds with e5, and after knight to f3, they go knight c6, bishop c4, knight f6, allowing us to go for the knight attack, targeting the weak f7 pawn. And instead of playing pawn to d5, which may allow the fried liver attack to happen, black plays bishop c5. This is a very deadly gambit, guys. And as white, you need to know exactly what you are doing. For example, if you blindly take on f7 with your knight, which looks attractive, because you're attacking the queen and the rook, black can just take your f2 pawn with check. And if you foolishly take on f2 again, they can go knight takes e4 check. This is all theory, ladies and gentlemen. If you go king g1, they don't even have to worry about their rook because they have queen h4 intending to mate on f2, and if you play something like queen f3 or g3 for example, black can just sacrifice his knight, and there's just so much that black can do in this Traxler counter gambit line. You can see by the stats in the Lichess database that black wins almost all the time. Look at these. It's not about how many pieces you have, it's about how many pieces are in the game. For example, black can play bishop g4 in the near future, knight d4 is on the plate, but first of all, they have to play something like rook f8, removing their rook from danger and also pinning the knight to the king. This is just too bad. So to avoid the Traxler counter gambit, for example, after you take on f7 with your knight and then they take with their bishop on f2 with check, my advice is don't take on f2. You better castle your king, this way once again, and I'm using the word castle or castling so that you don't forget. This is not castling, it's just a move, king f1, that's all. Once again, your king is the safest piece. So you will see them playing queen e7 because their queen was under attack like for real, and this is when you can just laugh at them and take that poor rook. If they take on e4, worse off, you can even go queen h5 check and the game is almost over. For example, if they go king f8, there's a beautiful combination that I would love you guys to find. Before I show you in 4 seconds, the time starts now. I hope you found this move. Spoiler, here we go. The move is knight g6 check, which double attacks the king and the queen. Knight g6. So with this move, you are assured of winning the free queen and the game. For example, if black takes your knight, that will be mate in one because black cannot escape from Sobibo. There's no way out. So against the Traxler Gambit, guys, the secret is just to hide your king on f1. Once again, that's a new way of castling. Let's look at something else that black can do. Opening trap number 5. This is where you open with pawn to e4, where black plays e5, obviously. Then you go knight to f3. They play knight c6, and then you go bishop c4. And after bishop c5, you simply go pawn to b4. By the way, to be a good player, you need to learn how to make strategies or to make plans right when the game starts. So in this position, you know you are not interested to castle short. You know your plans already. You just want to put your king on f1 and continue attacking on the king side. But black doesn't know that. Anyways, after black's bishop c5, you just go b4. That's the Evans Gambit. Black normally takes, after which you go pawn to c3. And now here the move that I'm interested in is bishop c5, the top played move, especially among us beginners and intermediate level players. Here you just continue with d4, they will obviously take, and then you take back. And it is in this position where you will see everybody going bishop b4 check. They expect you to block this check with either the knight or the bishop, but you can simply surprise them once again by castling your king this way, putting it on f1, and all your problems once again are over. Your king is the safest piece in the world. Once again, in this position, the top played move is pawn to d6, which is even a blunder, and your opponents won't know because they haven't subscribed to our channel. They don't follow my tutorials, which you guys do. So that's another purpose of playing king f1, is to give black one more chance to blunder, like pawn to d6. So you can just go pawn to d5, for example, and black is dead. For example, if they play knight e5, the top played move, you can just take that free knight. If they say it's not free, well, take the free bishop. Queen f4 check wins the dark squad bishop instantly. And I should mention to say I win most of my games like this against titled players and international masters. I mean, records are there. So this is another example that demonstrates how effective king f1 can be when you have planned for it. Remember, the key is to prepare for it in advance in the opening stage. Allow me to reintroduce this channel. Most of my viewers on my main channel, Casper Chess, are more interested to watch long form videos, and this is where this second channel comes in, where I post funny clips from my main channel and other interesting short form videos of chess traps that I can't post on my main channel. So be sure to subscribe to this channel as well.